Good evening. It is Monday night, Bank Holiday Monday if you are in the UK. If you're anywhere else unlucky, you probably come back from work. Joining me today for the preseason recap is Robbie. How's it going, bud?
Yes, mate, we are very, very good. Thankfully, the preseason's out the way.
Yeah. How was your bank holiday to start?
Yeah, busy with the kids. Just tendering to them. End up going to the Roald Dahl Museum of all things.
Roald Dahl Museum. Excellent.
Yourself, did you get up to much?
Stayed at home. Did the shopping. I just chilled out all day. Really one of them days.
Nice.
Yeah, so pre-season, let's start with the bad. The offense, it didn't look amazing at times, quite stale, a bit predictable. Seems like it was keeping it a bit vanilla. Maybe could use the Formula One term, sandbagging a bit, just to hide the power that we have on offense.
Do you know what I think? I think if you remember when Frank Wright first come his first kind of pre-season, he said, we're not going to be showing them anything. We're going to be keeping it to base. We're not going to be kind of going out of exploring anything. But when you kind of bring up the offense, for me, it's the lack of scoring. It's very much, we got it into distance and we kick it. We had a few running touchdowns, obviously, but it's just a lack of quarterback thrown touchdowns that, would be like, maybe there's something we could have improved on, especially when you look at last season, the way we were in the red zone.
Yeah.
That kind of had a few alarms for me, but again, it's preseason, so we shouldn't get too high, too low on it. Certainly, the Seahawks game will show it.
Yeah, I think we are keeping our cards pretty close to our chest. It is worrying because we was not good at red zone visits last year. And notably, that's what cost us the playoff game against Buffalo. And as crazy as it sounds, it doesn't seem like we've gone out and improved that. Well, let's hope the guys can prove me wrong. But there's been no notable signing or drafting where you're like, this is the red zone guy.
Well, it's what kind of brought up the last couple of times, being like the kind of the tight ends. Jack Doyle, we know, is the greatest and should be number one in the top 100. He's going to be getting you down the field for that kind of 8 yards down the middle. Mo Alley Cox, yes, he's big and lengthy. Granson's shown a little bit, but we haven't got that kind of big kind of tight end, which kind of others use. When it comes to red zone, obviously last year we were kind of limited with Philip Rivers with his feet. Obviously brought Jacoby in for some of that short yardage, but rarely worked. So it's down to, the likes of Jonathan Taylor, Marlon Mack, Hines if he's splitting out wide, and then really relying on the likes of Pittman to be blocking again like he did well last year.
Yeah. Let's evaluate the quarterback situation. Obviously, my boy Jacob, he's QB2, QB1 for the time being. Sammy Erlinger got an injury. Seemed like not a nasty one, but potentially could have been a nasty one. It was very close.
I haven't seen if has it been concluded with how long she'll be out? Is it 6 weeks?
I've not seen any update from the fact that he is going on obviously the injury list.
Yeah.
Let's evaluate these two. Okay, so playing styles, not comparisons. I'll just make that clear. Playing styles. Jacob Eason, sort of a Andrew look where he can sling it deep to TY. That's what fans hope for. And Sammy Erlinger, a bit more like Philip Rivers. He's a cleverer reader, obviously more mobile, but he's quicker at reading. Was there anything that really impressed you about these two guys during the preseason?
Do you know what? Jacob Eason's arm, I know it's been said before, but I think it might have been the last game. It was probably about 15 yards to Paris Campbell. Paris just couldn't take it in because it was slung that hard at him. So give him time, give Eason more time, improve that consistency with the accuracy, which, if you look from game 1 to game 3, the accuracy was getting better. But certainly his arm was very good, and I think you have to have an arm. But again, when you kind of think about the quarterbacks, if you look at who's in front of them, one thing I've noticed is the lack of flags for holding during the preseason. You know, there's been I don't know if they wanted to just let it run, just to give the QBs time. I don't know if that's what the NFL's asked for this year, but it's a case of it's hard to evaluate their kind of pocket presence when, you know, there was so much holding going on that wasn't being flagged. Certainly with Erlinger, he seemed a lot more raw. You know, he seemed a bit more tight at times, I guess. And you can see that with a couple of his interceptions that happened, I think was just due to his kind of inexperience and being around the guys, really.
Yeah. We'll say what I liked about Jacob is I think it was the second or maybe even the Detroit game. There was a deep pass, I think, to Strachan, Mike Strawn, if you're American.
Yeah, down on the left.
Yeah. And he actually put a bit of touch on it, which was nice. He didn't just sling it and he lobbed it into position, which shows he is working on these things. I mean, that's what happens when you've got Frank Reich and Marcus Brady with two quarterback whisperers on the team.
You got to remember as well, you know, when you're playing a third or fourth string defenses, you know, any QB worth their salt should be able to be, you know, double pumping, getting the defense to step up to kind of create that space. So again, it's looking at who we're playing and will it transverse to, you know, playing Jamal Adams against Seahawks, for example. You know, are they going to get that kind of time in the backfield?
Yeah.
It's certainly be interesting to see. I think we're writing off Hundley, aren't we? I think he'll just be cut in the next couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard when it gets this time of year because obviously, you know, these are you guys that have worked as hard as they possibly can to try and change their families' lives. You know, everyone's seen the American dream where they get a big house, you know, and stuff like that. And I suppose on the flip side, you don't see players like Huntley who have to work for a living, then probably don't have a job during the season.
Yeah.
And then get another call here and there. So I suppose, you know, because I see it all the time, and I saw on Twitter today, it was like a couple of guys have already been cut. I think Sean Davis, the veteran safety, not the rookie safety, and people like, oh, what did you expect? Well, yeah, but you know, this guy's trying to fight for a living. Give him a break.
Sean Davis come in with a bit of experience. When we first signed him, I thought, you know, he's going to be kind of pushing, but he didn't really show much. But staying on the quarterbacks, is, you know, with Carson now going to be out for a minimum of next Monday, you know, that's going to give him 3 live practices to get match kind of sharp. So, you know, I don't remember back like the last couple of second weeks, you know, it's taken a gradual kind of time for the players to kind of get up to match speed. You know, that's everyone, not just the ones that have kind of been in and out. So, you know, week one's going to be quite interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Offensive line. Not a great preseason for them. You know,
when it comes to the game this weekend, like, I didn't even know who was playing on the offensive line towards the end. You know, if you look at it, you know, Danny Pinter, you know, I think he's done himself pretty well. You know, he's not going to be starting at all unless there's any kind of big emergencies, but he's good to fill in. You know, Glowinski's obviously going to be the right guard. We let go the Eldrin camp. We let go, didn't we, this afternoon, which I was quite shocked at. Again, you know, left tackle Will Holden, I think, won that battle. Obviously going into the season. So again, it's hard to really assess it when there were so many backups kind of coming in. I think it was just really the Minnesota game where, you know, they got a few kind of snaps together, but it wasn't many before they started kind of coming out of the game.
Yeah, and
you know, and looking at the season, you know, Big Q, you know, it's obviously had his injury now on the COVID list, but you know, someone like that, you know, he's got that kind of mentality where he's just going to be hurting people. Like, I think hopefully he's going to come with a bit of aggression and that kind of pissed off list. We need to kind of hit people.
Especially after a certain Mr. Clowney decided to say that guards are not athletes. think Quentin Nelson's going to have maybe something to say about that.
You just wouldn't do it, would you? Like,
no.
I don't care how big. Like, Clowney's like probably about 7 foot tall.
Yeah.
You know,
he has watched Quentin Nelson say it right, and
I don't know how Clowney's still playing. Like, how many? Like, we've played him every season now, and it's just like, Clowney. Like, he's probably made one play that I've seen that I thought, oh, that's actually pretty athletic. But other than that, it's just, you know, he got space because of JJ Watt.
Yeah, didn't T.Y. Hilton just like end that man's career as well, like over and over again?
T.Y.'s ended many people.
Yeah.
So with the offensive line, it's just a case of, I don't know how you can evaluate them.
Yeah,
they haven't really been there as a unit. It's been good to see again, you know, the Will Holdens, the Pins. You know, it's good to know that Sam Tevy wasn't going to make. Well, in my opinion, he wasn't going to make the roster anyway. You know, so him personally, he must be quite happy because he's going to get a payoff, like a medical payoff for the year. So you know, he's. I assume it's going to be good for him. I
will bring up this when. You know, preseason comes around, and you are one of these fringe guys, these journeymen, let's say, and this is your chance. You know, I know it's hard to take the next step to the NFL, right? Only the 1% make it to the NFL.
Yeah.
But this is what did annoy me is this is your chance, and it seemed like nobody wanted to go and try and grab a jersey like on the offensive line, like, oh well, I know I'm not going to get in this team. You know, nobody to me went, I want this. And if I was a fringe player, the one team I would want in at the minute is the Colts.
Yeah, just because who you got around you. But, you know, especially with they've probably got the mentality of, yes, Eric Fisher's coming in, but, you know, this is a league of what have you done for me today? Yeah. So, you know, if someone came in and excelled, like Braden Smith, for example, you know, we would never thought he'd be a right tackle. We never thought he'd be the starting right tackle, especially at the start of last year. You know, and he's coming in, he's actually taken that ball by the horns and made that position his own. You know, and you know, we're not going to be putting anyone else in right tackle because he is our right tackle now. You know, drafted as our right guard, you know, had to fill in, and he's done absolutely wonderful. But you know, but I think we addressed this earlier in the preseason or the off season that Ballard, you know, if you're going to ever give him any negative marks, is his lack of forward thought of Costanzo and how we're going to replace him.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, again, Ballard's done absolutely everything. You know, for what he's had thrown at him. You know, it happens.
We'll let him
hindsight's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Especially in sport.
Yeah. Okay, then moving on to the wide receiver, tight end core. Anyone? I mean, obviously the big plays. I could list them, but they're on Twitter. You know, people talking up Mega Strachan. Des Patman made a couple of good plays. Granson.
Yeah, but again, this is against the third and fourth string. So if they're going to make it, you know, they've got to make it against the first. Granson, you know, I think he's done okay. You know, early on he had a couple of drops.
Yeah.
You know, but he's coming well. You know, he's not going to be starting in front of Jack Doyle or Mo Ali, but you know, he's going to be there as a third tight end option. When it comes to receivers, you know, with T.Y. being out for we don't know for how long, obviously with his neck. You know, I think they've already said, you know, it's not about replacing T.Y. It's taking his workload and kind of spread it around between Pittman, Pascal, Paris Campbell, who I'm still not sure of. You know, Ashton Doolan, does he get more reps at wide receiver? DeMichael Harris, you know, number 12. You know, are we going to see more of him? Strachan or Strahan, however he wants to be called, you know, he's made some flashes during preseason, but you know, that's against the fourth or third string. So, you know, he's still got a lot to prove.
Question from Tom.
Hey, Tom.
What needs to improve more this season? Defense or the offense for the team to go far in the playoffs?
Red zone. For me, it's red zone. You know, it's the offense in red zone. That's where it kind of lies with me, and I think that's more important than, you know, we've got Quitty Pay there now. That's obviously going to hopefully kind of shore up the edge of the defensive ends, but you know, it's that red zone that's the big one for me. Yeah,
I mean, I'd agree. I'll agree, and I'll explain why now, and beautifully segue into the defensive side of the ball. I mean, I didn't do running backs, but they were 4th, 5th, 6th string running backs, really.
Yeah.
Unless you've got anything to mention on running backs.
Well, yeah. What was the guy's name? LeMay, wasn't it?
Benny LeMay.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him. He's had some beautiful runs, some real nice kind of eye-opening kind of found the gaps, but he's never going to have a chance. No. He's done himself a lot of credit, put a lot of good things on film. Obviously, won't be with us. And do we keep the 4 running backs?
He would. I mean, he would make a decent 3rd stringer at a team what needs a 3rd string running back.
Yeah.
For the Colts, we have 4 decent running backs at the minute.
Do we keep Wilkins, Hines, Mack, and Taylor?
For me, we do. Right, we're getting this running back room for $7 million this year. We keep it. We go in with 4 because even if you don't use all 4 to constantly run, then at least you've got Hines.
Yeah.
To punt return, especially if Isaiah Rodgers is now having to step up a level. Yeah. But yeah, I get what you mean. You know, the guy got flagged for absolutely nothing. That was ridiculous. But
you're still steaming about that one.
I'm fuming. Just the no fun league, innit? The no fun league's back. I would get it if he's waving in his face, maybe even flipping him off. But the guy just flexed. And what's the difference between that and then somebody getting an interception and running to the end zone with it? You know, it's like, where do you draw the line?
That's preseason with the officiating, isn't it? As I said, like there's no flags for holding, so you know it changes. But you're going to say about the red zone?
The red zone. I mean, the thing is, we're one-dimensional in the red zone, aren't we? That's the Colts problem. We sort of leaned on Jonathan Taylor to bulldoze it in. Even Quentin Nelson's at times to bulldoze it in. I think that would change, though. Frank's got a new playbook for every quarterback. That seems to be what Frank Reich does. He never makes one quarterback. He won't make Sammy Erlinger play to Jacob Eason's tune because there's just no point in trying to make that happen.
And there's a question, obviously, during the games last season, you absolutely lambasted the way our kind of defense kind of just let people kind of come on to us.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about it now?
If we sit in the same system that we did last season, then he has to go for me. And we've got Quitty Pay, we've got DeForest Buckner, we've got Al-Qadim Mohammed, who I thought had an excellent preseason. Ben Banogu was ferocious in preseason. And when you've got slide blitzers like Kenny Moore, Darius Leonard, who can blitz better than anyone, I just want him to let the defense off the rein, like let the reins loose a little bit. And I get, I don't want to rant too much, but I get the statistics behind the bend don't break method, right? I get it. Yeah. You know, you keep them to 3, you make them drive long, you tire them out. It works better for your offense. But it's football, man. Sometimes you just got to play with a heart. Not everything's about numbers and zones and percentages.
Do you know, I don't think Ben Banogu is as good as what people are saying. Yes, he's had a lot of people have said he's had a really good preseason.
Yeah.
But he's not playing against anyone of any real standard. So when you got Kimoko Toure in front of him, Quiddy Pay in front of him, obviously Tyquan Lewis has obviously gone off.
He just absolutely embarrassed Penn High School for the Lions.
Is he going to start in front of any of them 4?
I mean, to me, your front 4 it's got to be Quitty Pay, DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, and
who's the other end? Kimoko, Al-Qadim, Tyquan Lewis, and then so when does Ben Banogu? Then he sits behind. So like for me, I think he's making a lot of noise in this offseason, but I don't think he's as good as what the kind of the Twitter noise is saying about him. Again, it's just a personal thing.
No, you know, everyone's going to have opinions, and that's the whole point of this. if we were all to think the same, then everyone would play the same. Before we get too ranty onto that, Tom, we've got 3 quality running backs and the best O-line in the league, so run the damn ball when we get into the red zone. I mean, that's all well and good, but the problem is with that is we was too predictable last year. We went heavy set, brung in Jacoby Brissett, and everyone was like, oh, they're going to run it. When a defense knows you're going to run it, if they are worth the wait, then they'll stop it. It's all about smoke and mirrors. You got to make them think you're going to pass it to run it in.
Do you remember last off season we had Ryan Nix, wasn't it, from the Steelers? We had him on the preseason as a fullback.
Yes. Yeah.
And then whenever we had a chance to use a fullback, we just threw Quinton in there.
Yeah, because why not? I think
just an absolute beast.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think we're being hypercritical of last season because I think we did perform a lot better than people expected us to perform, especially after we lost to the Jags the first game of the season. When that happened, it was like, oh no, here we go.
They're doing an Arsenal on us.
Yeah. But, I think if we had a preseason, and you can say this for everyone because nobody did, but if we had a preseason, Philip Rivers would have been even better. He only really got into his groove week 5 to 10, and then it was sort of iffy after that. But, that's in the past now. This off-season, the defense is, I think it's good. I think this defense is a scary defense and a nasty defense coming into this season.
I think Grover's grown over the last kind of 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think backing up the tackles as such, you got Brown and Woods again shown up at various times during preseason, which has been quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think if you look beyond the defensive line, which has been improved massively under Ballard, we start looking at the linebackers, the corners, safeties. I think we're going to be coming into the season underrated. I know we had one of the best defenses last year, but I think there's going to be a lot of people losing sleep.
Yeah, I mean, we seem to be slept on. The perks of being a small market team.
I think I said to you at the beginning of the off season, I wasn't sure how we're going to transition without Anthony Walker in there, so it's going to be very interesting week 1.
Yeah,
I know everyone says how vocal Darius is, but Anthony Walker was the quarterback of the defense. He was the main communicator. So how's that going to work? With Bobby Okereke stepping up full time. I'm a massive Bobby O fan, but it's just can he make that next step? And then obviously Darius can't obviously take all the load.
Yeah,
like Zaire Franklin if he comes in, or Matthew Adams, EJ Speed, Isaiah Rodgers, one of them obviously coming in on that side as well.
Yeah, I mean,
it could be good.
It's hard because you like we say, Darius Leonard was never the quarterback of defenses. He was the energizer, the playmaker. You needed a big hit or a forced fumble. All of a sudden, he gets it. I mean, who's gonna scheme the guys close right? The offense try and scheme guys open, and the defense try and scheme guys close. That's the be all and end all. For me, Xavier Rhodes, we need him to have another year like he did last year.
Yeah, come in and did well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for the corner, yeah. Coming into the off season again, I was a little bit unsure about the corners, but when you look at it, Xavier Rhodes, who again, his play wasn't as good as what it was in Minnesota during that kind of crazy year they had, but he's still very, very good. You got TJ Carey, Rocky Sin, who I think will be fantastic this year. I think he's hopefully learned a little bit more. Hopefully we'll see a few less flags, but again, I think the flags are down to who he's playing for rather than anything else. And then Kenny Moore.
Kenny Moore is such an underrated talent. I don't get it. My problem with Rock Kissing now, I was a big advocate for Rock Kissing last season, especially when he suplexed that wide receiver. Just, he absolutely threw him 6 foot under. I thought that was worth the flag and the fine. What I wasn't impressed with, and he only played a couple of snaps in the Detroit game, was his attitude. The guy was playing like he'd already had his name on a 53-man roster.
Okay.
Now, I get it, right? He probably has. He definitely has. But when you're in preseason, you can't think like that, and it.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah,
it's not a very English way of kind of adapting yourself, is it?
No, it's like, to me, he's got a lot of proof. He's got a lot to prove, I think, to himself. I think he'll know himself like he wasn't as good as he could have been last year.
I agree with the maturity of it. Like the suplex. He had a lot of flags for just silly, just holding as he's running. But again, if he played for another team, perhaps they wouldn't get called.
Yeah.
So, but I think I think he came out of college a year early as well. So he's got obviously the age, so just about maturing. And then you look at safeties. Julian Blackman, I absolutely love to pieces. Big, rangy. Wouldn't surprise me if he's got kind of the 3 interceptions, maybe like throughout this year, 3 or 4, and then Kari Willis as well, who for me is a bit of a monster.
Yeah,
as a unit is fantastic, and obviously George Odom.
Yeah,
following up.
One player I am looking at, and I really do hope he steps up this year, is Isaiah Rodgers.
Yeah, you mentioned a few times. Haven't you?
He's electrifying at punt returning.
Just for his kick returns?
It's actually from college, Isaiah Rodgers. I took note of how hard he could hit at a college level. And I was like, this guy's hitting his tackles at an NFL level in college. And, he was young. He was really young when we drafted him, I think. So I hope he's someone who can step up. I don't expect him to be the star of the show by any means, but I expect him to take that next step now. He's got to be more than just a punt returner now.
Yeah, you think that from a corner, TJ Carey, Xavier Rhodes, Rocky Sidney, and Isaiah, and then obviously Kenny Moore. Usually he's used more of a nickel, isn't he, rather than a full cornerback or a traditional cornerback as such.
Yeah. Okay, so nobody. In the Detroit game, Curtis Bolton, linebacker, I thought he was absolutely fantastic.
He had a couple of really nice plays, didn't he?
Yeah.
Again, that was in the.
It was in the
third quarter, maybe even into the fourth quarter, which you'd expect anyone to be this half decent should be showing up.
Sure. And again, I suppose, like you say, it's that English way of thinking. There's the difference between should be and could be, and it should be showing up, and he did. And when you look,
I think you got quite a nice point there. Like Bolton and Glasgow, they were in together.
Yeah.
And I think you got quite a nice point. Maybe definitely not anywhere near the starting lineup yet, but certainly one for developing and kind of playing with the unit.
Yeah. And if there's anything, we can go off Chris Ballard's record, is that he pays his own. If you prove you're worth the money and the jersey spot, then he will put you in that jersey.
Yeah. So obviously we've got the special teams to go as well, but from the kind of offense and defense, would you say when people are clearing waivers, if there's any, would you put any positional need in there that Ballard should really be thinking at? We need to be looking at a certain position.
Well, as in we need to keep more, or we need to get fresh.
Like for me, if there's a half decent left tackle out there.
All right. Okay.
Waivers, should we be dipping in either?
I don't think, for me, left tackle, I don't think it's one, because I think when Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, Braden Smith, and Mark Winsky are all back and fit, we need an average left tackle at best, really. Obviously, the quarterback should always see the pressure on the left tackle and should always read that first. But I'd say probably I'm trying to think if there's any notable people that could be on the fringe or looking at getting cut, and I don't think maybe a safety, just as a veteran safety. But again, these are like, do we really need to waste the cap space on these guys?
Yeah, no. Yeah. I just thought I'd throw that out because obviously there's going to be a lot of caps. Was it going from 90 to 85 or whatever it is to 53?
Yeah,
so that's a big one. And then special teams, I love our special teams unit. Everything about it.
And as cliche and as cheesy as it sounds, it's because they're forced to take it serious. It's not just a stepping stone. I know anyone in the right mind who's in an interview, any coach or player will say, "Oh yeah, we take special teams serious." But the Colts actually take special teams serious. And
it's where you see the like of like Isaiah Rodgers without him taking those snaps at punt return.
Yeah.
How many people would be talking about him now?
Exactly.
Yes, he had a few flashes at the position, at corner, but you wouldn't really, he wouldn't be on people's radars. Ashton Doolan, would he really be on our radars unless he was a kick returner? Not really. You wouldn't even think about putting Doolan in the wide receiver core.
No.
So it does show, and then the way Blankenship's kicking this off season, I think that I don't know whether it's just the Pinheiro competition, or you see he's put a bit of weight on as well.
Yeah.
So, I think he's been very well managed.
I think he is. Tom, Colts haven't won an OIPA since 2013. Jim Irsay has been stressing this to the players. I mean, yeah, and I wouldn't stress it too much, right? Don't get me wrong, a 17-0 season would be lovely.
Not very likely.
It's a long season, right? It isn't decided in September, the season.
but I think this comes to my early point. The way we approach the same as a lot of NFL teams approach this off season and preseason. It takes them that week, that 2 weeks to really get up to game speed. It's who can get to that game speed quicker. If you look at the last couple of years, Rivers come in, without kind of much rep or live reps as such with the team. Look, before that, actually, Jacoby was kind of in and out. Before that, who was it? The ex Green Bay quarterback that kind of come in, and then Jacoby replaced after week 3. It's having that consistency going into the season, which we haven't had for a long time. We're going up against the Seahawks, where Russell Wilson knows that their playbook, he knows their players inside and out, because they're not really, especially on the offense, they haven't really changed much. They've still got Tyler Lockett, they've still got exactly the same front five like we have. So, what can we do? How, like, if you was Frank Reich, you'd have more live snaps, but you can't risk your players. So I get what Tom's saying about getting off to a good start would be great, but it's the way you would kind of lead up to it.
Yeah, it's as long as we get to the playoffs, who cares really? If we win every game 7-0 and get to the playoffs, and then win every game 7-0 in the playoffs and win the Super Bowl.
I'm not getting up at 1 o'clock in the morning to watch a 7-0.
But who cares? You know what I mean? You turn around and say, who cares? Would be on this time next year going, that was the best defense. Well, obviously it'd be the best defense ever. But that sort of thing, it's, for me, there's only one stat that counts. You can give me all the stats in the PFFs and the grading and the NFL top 100, and this is how the athletes and the players will think is, as long as we get the W, that we really care.
And that's, again, looking at Twitter, a lot of people are raving that we've gone unbeaten during the off season.
Yeah,
it means nothing. Again, these are forcing. These are people that are going to be working at McDonald's next week.
Yeah,
not the kind of starters. And if you look at the Ravens have gone 20 preseason games unbeaten. Sorry. means absolutely nothing.
Means I'm sure they'd rather have another Super Bowl than have that streak.
Yeah. It's again, it's how you kind of go into it, and
yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, special teams we could cover, but like we say, the kickers, both of them, was 100%. Obviously, Pinero got some decent tape on film, so he can.
We tried trading him, didn't we?
Yeah. I think he deserves a team. Anyone who plays for the Bears is going to suck. So he had to come to the Colts to sort him out. I mean, is there anything else from the offseason that disappointed you, that surprised you, that impressed you?
Do you know, the only thing that disappoints me is, when we signed Carson, I said that if he stays fit, we've got a chance.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a freak injury, but how many people get these freak injuries over and over and over and again because their body's not NFL? He has a massive history of these injuries. So this is it just going to be okay? Foot this week, next week when this gets hit, is it going to be a shoulder? So that he needs to stay fit and he needs time with reps, and that's what he's not getting, especially with next week now. Looks like he's not going to be there.
Yeah.
Because of COVID, it is what it is with COVID, but there's things he could put in place, and he's only going to get 3 days worth of live reps before the Seattle game. Yes, he's experienced. Yes, he's a veteran. Yes, he can take the mental reps. But if you're catching a ball from, as we've seen it, catching a ball from Phillip Rivers to Jacoby Brissett, a lot of the wide receivers come in and say, well, the trajectory of Rivers was a lot lower, so you have to get used to the catching style.
Yeah.
They haven't really had that real kind of consistent time with Wentz. And as I said earlier, like Jacob Eason, the way he absolutely rockets the ball, it seems like he's putting the same speed on the ball from a 10-yard to a 50, and so it's getting used to it, and that for me is a disappointment, especially with the issues that we've had at quarterback for the last 5 years. Really was hoping that we'd get a clean bill of health for him, but it is what it is now. But I'd say, that's the only thing I'm really concerned about.
For me, I don't want to say this just because the offense was not particularly good during the offseason and the preseason, but it seemed like they asked the quarterbacks to go out and work on specific things. For Jacob Eason, it seemed like release time, his passes were snap, 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 snap as fast as he could.
Yeah.
And for Sammy, they just said, try and get it downfield. That got him picked off a couple of times, but it also got him a couple of decent plays. It's a learning curve. Obviously, we expect Carson to be QB1. But like you say, injuries, man. They don't care who you are, what your story is. Whether you look at Andrew, whether you just come back or not, they don't care. They will get you.
Yeah, and it's been one positive is being able to see Jacob Eason and see Sam Erling and actually see them with some reps in a stadium with NFL players with an NFL ball. Because I think that's good for all of us. I know, like during last season, you were obviously saying how good Jacob Eason is, and you are his kind of number one fan. But until you actually see them live in this team and in this unit, you just don't know. So at least Reich and Co have that opportunity to see them. So, if Carson's hopefully fit this year, if they decide to move on, at least they've got an idea of what they've got in the background, which they wouldn't have had otherwise, So, if you're trying to take any positive out of a negative, it would be that. I'm just wondering if any of the Nick Foles rumors will surface tonight with the news of Wentz.
Carson, they surfaced before we even signed Carson Wentz.
But that was it was Nick Foles when he come out and said a few weeks ago that he loves Frank Reich and he likes the Colts, and I was like, come on, no, I'm not having that. Give me Phillip Rivers back.
Yeah.
My thoughts on Rivers.
Yeah. I will say what would be a really exciting connection. I mean, let's talk worst case scenario. Let's say Carson is injured or it doesn't work out for whatever reason. Obviously, we'd have to start with Jacob Eason. What would be exciting is Jacob Eason behind that oil line with the running game to lean on. We know the velocity he can throw out. And with guys like Paris Campbell and Mike Pittman, I think that's a very dangerous deep team, like a deep threat team.
Yeah, Pittman, I absolutely love him, but that's because he finishes every play, whether that's his running style or his blocking, absolutely beautiful. The effort he puts in as a wide receiver for kind of blocking schemes is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I'd love to see that. Zack Pascal as well. Not enough people are talking about Zack Pascal. He is rapid. He is a TY-esque in my eyes.
Mm-hmm. He is, for me, he's there to replace TY when he leaves.
And Paris Campbell,
we just need him to stay fit. If he stays fit, he's a freak athlete with freak speed.
As I keep saying, he shouldn't have had that number one. He doesn't deserve a number one.
Does anyone have to Pat McAfee like?
No, but it's not that. If you go and win number one, you have to ball out. You have to be.
It's like a centre back turning up with pink boots.
Exactly that. It's they shouldn't have given that number one.
Yeah, but all our American fans have just gone, "What's he said?"
He has to ball out.
Yeah, yeah. And anyway, that's the preseason recap. Anything you want to add, Robbie, before we wrap up?
No, I mean it was great. Week one of preseason to have football back, and then by the end of the first quarter, you remember as preseason.
Mm-hmm.
And remind you, don't get too high, don't get too low on it, on everything. Take everything with a pinch of salt. Usually you get one or two players kind of rear their heads, and one or two people will lose their jobs. But for me, it counts for absolutely nothing until we play the Seahawks, and kind of then you'll see what kind of conditioning we're in, and that's kind of where it comes down to. Yeah,
I mean, I'm gonna completely disagree with what you just said. I am. I ride all the highs and all the lows, as you see in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah, but that's what we're allowed to do. And I have to keep checking myself. Say, well, hold on, no. Like the amount of times I write a message, like, no, it's preseason. Delete
it. From Mikey. Hopefully, everyone is ready for the start. I mean, the fans are. It was good. I mean, Lucas Oil has never been the loudest stadium, right? It's never. I love us, our fans, but we've never been the loudest stadium. And just to feel that energy in a preseason game, where it calls 3 false starts, is just. I hope we can drag that into the season, because that was amazing.
I'm a season ticket at West Ham, and that first game back, that against Newcastle, everything was magnified. The sound was magnified. But I'm quite looking forward to next Sunday, because I'm having to leave West Ham early. West Ham, which it'll be Ronaldo's first game, so I'm happy to leave early just so I can get back and watch the Colts.
At least you get to watch Ronaldo live.
I've seen it before, mate. It's not interested.
Not special.
No. But literally, it's supposed to finish at 5. The 4:45 it will finish, but I'll be leaving early so I can get back and catch the Colts.
He's got nothing on Mark Noble, has he?
You know it, my man. Do you know what? It's a strange thing. Like Mark Noble, love him. Jack Doyle, love him.
It's these workhorse guys who, do you know what? Give them a shirt, they'll go and work for you.
Exactly that. I think this could be Jack Doyle's last year.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really do, because obviously he's 30, 32, 33 now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to enjoy this year with Jack.
Yeah. Anyway, I've been UK Colts fans. Robbie is obviously going to be my recapping guest or rating guest to say. Rating co-host, more like you're not a guest anymore. We will be recapping every game, the good, the bad, and the Colts. Thanks so much for watching. Robbie, just before we go, where can people find you?
At Robbie Herrick, all over Twitter. I'm usually talking Colts or West Ham. So if you like football, soccer, jump in on that as well. But it'd be mainly during the season, just hopefully smiling, just smiles on there. I'm not going to let it get to me too much. I'm just enjoying your defense crying.
Yeah. At least I got the Colts cheer me up. Yeah, if anyone doesn't know spot Arsenal, who are the Jaguars at the minute.
How just quickly? How do you think the AFC South's going to
go? What
top
record?
Yeah, the rankings. Obviously, we'll finish top of the AFC South.
Yeah, I think it'd be by quite a bit. Yeah, but I'm going to go. Do you know what? Just to play devil's advocate, I'm going to go the Jags in second. Yeah. Tennessee. I think it could be another AFC South 3-team playoff appearance. And obviously the Texans are a hot mess at the minute.
Love it.
Just like Arsenal. I was going to throw in the off-air joke, but I won't.
No, we'll leave it there, mate. But yeah, I'll speak to you in a bit, mate.
Yeah, see you later, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.
See you later, everyone.